here at Ancient City Shooting Range in St. Augustine, Florida, and we're going to take our first look at the CMMG Mk47 Mutant. Now, the reason they call it a Mutant, well, as you look at it from your point of view, it really does look like a standard AR-15 type firearm, but as soon as I insert the magazine meant to go into this rifle, you're going to see that it also has some facets of AK operation, not only the signature curved magazine, but also the way that magazine locks in and is released. And in fact, this is a hybrid of an AK and an AR. And it is a true hybrid, and this is a purpose-built firearm completely designed from the ground up. This is essentially a new kind of rifle that CMMG is putting out. Now, they're not the first ones to try to bring the AK round and the AR platform together, but they are the first ones really to bring this to production in any kind of meaningful way that is actually new from the ground up, and this has some unique features that are really important. Now, first and foremost, it's going to operate like both an AR and an AK. So while the operating system here might look a lot more like an AR, in some important ways it's still very much an AK in the way that you're going to deal with loading it and reloading the gun and dealing with any kind of malfunction. But in function, as far as the trigger and the safety manipulation are concerned, and also your integration with the grip, with the rail, and with the stock, it's going to feel much more like the AR. So first person this is going to appeal to is someone who likes the AR system, is comfortable with the AR system, but wants that 30 caliber round. And this has been a big deal over the last decade. People talking about stepping away from the 223, 5.56 round and moving up to a 30 caliber round. And of course, the AK round is the proven mid-range 30 caliber round worldwide for decades, right? 60 decades or so, or sorry, 6 decades, 60 years this round's been around and been very proven. So we know this round works. It's like the 30-30 in the US, but it's designed to come out of a mid-sized semi-automatic defensive style rifle. So this is really the round that we all want. What we end up with is things like the 6.8, the 6.5, the 300 Blackout, the old 300 Whisper. There's a lot of different rounds that have tried to get into the game. Ultimately, this is a round that's widely available worldwide, it's relatively inexpensive, and we know it works. So this is what we want in an AR type gun. The problem with sticking the 7.62x39 in an AR type gun is twofold traditionally. Number one, the straight-walled magazines of the AR don't play very well with this shape of a round. The way this round is configured, there are feeding issues when you try to put it into a straight-walled magazine. So that's issue number one. Issue number two, which is much more important to those of us who like the AR, is the idea that you can simply take a standard AR-15 bolt face and machine it out so that it'll accept the 7.62x39. Well, if you take a look at these rounds, and we'll cut away to a close-up of the rounds, but if you take a look at them, there's some really big major differences. Now, the difference that we're excited about is the heavier bullet, in many cases twice as heavy in that standard 30 caliber round than we have in this 5.56 round. But if we look at the bases of these rounds, you're going to see there's a dramatic difference there. So when you machine out enough of this structural integrity on the bolt face to accept the 7.62x39, and you can Google this, take a look at it on the internet, you see a lot of failures here. You see structural failures on the bolt face in the 7.62x39 AR. So that's the big issue here. We've got a reliability issue both in the magazine and feeding, and we've got the reliability issue of the bolt face. So what they've done is they've gone ahead and they've taken an AR-10 bolt carrier group and set it up so that it will fit into a rifle that is essentially AR-15 sized, and that's what we've got. We've got a 7-pound rifle. Now, it's not the lightest AR rifle by any stretch, but it is a relatively light rifle, and it's a lot lighter and a lot smaller and less bulkier than the AR-10s. If we were going to take an AR-10, a 308 7.62x59, and stick a 7.62x39 round in it, we'd have a really heavy overbuilt rifle. Of course, it would be bomb-proof, but it would be way overbuilt. So what they've done here is started from scratch. We've got an aluminum billet upper and lower receiver that are very unique, but still do allow you to put in whatever trigger you want, whatever grip you want, whatever stock setup you want, obviously whatever optic situation you want on the rail or iron sights, whatever rail you want on the forend, and we can do different barrel length. There's actually 3 different versions currently available from CMMG right here at launch. Of course, this was launched on December 1st. It's now December 3rd. I shot the rifle a little bit yesterday. We're going to shoot it a lot more today. But let's talk about the operations. And this is really the one place that I think CMMG has missed the mark with this gun. There's a lot of thought that went into it, a lot of research. They've done the T&E. They've spent close to $1 million all in, worked well over a year and a half, 2 years, going back to the AK boom, the popularity of the AK here in the US a couple years ago. And where they've missed the mark, I think, is with the charging handle. They're shipping this with a standard latch configuration. The problem is the way they've redone the upper receiver and the bolt carrier group, this charging handle length is right in between a standard AR and a standard AR-10. So you can't just drop in any of your preferred oversized charging handles. Now, for some people that use an AR, they use the bolt release, so it's not a big deal. The problem is with an AK system, because of the way the magazines interact with the gun, this bolt is not going to lock open. Because it doesn't lock open, you're forced to use the charging handle, which is how I teach to do reloads anyway. And because you're forced to use the charging handle, you're really going to want an oversized charging handle latch on here. Now, CMMG is quick to point out that you can replace this latch. You can drift this pin out and put a different catch on there, and that is true. But I would much rather see them just ship this thing with a much larger latch, something like the BCM, you know, the Mod 4 is my preference on an AR. I'd probably love that on here. We can put a Badger latch on here. We can do all kinds of things to make this easier. Because I'm going to put my glasses on here because we're going to go hot. Because when you operate the AK, what you're going to need to do, you're going to have an empty magazine here. You're going to pull the trigger on an empty, you're going to get a click. You're going to find your magazine, and then you can either push this out with one hand, or what I like to do is run up to the trigger guard, push forward and strip that, set that magazine up in here and rock it back to lock it in, and then immediately come back to the charging handle, pull and release to get the gun back into operation. Then I can put it on safe or continue shooting. Now that charging handle manipulation and the way you have to get the magazine out is why I say this really is a hybrid between an AR and an AK operating system. So we have the trigger, the grip, the integration with your face, the integration with your chest, the integration on the rail. All of this is very AR, as is the safety. But when it comes to the magazines, we're going to have to operate this like an AK. And also, when we go to clear the gun, we're going to have to operate it like an AK, which for me means finding an empty case or another round and locking that open. That way we can lock it open and stay safe. We know everybody can see this gun and know there's not a round in the chamber. So obviously we're going to do some more shooting with it. I'm actually kind of excited. Now that I'm a Florida resident, I've gotten my resident hunting license. I've got the Winchester Defender round here, a great split core technology hollow point. And I'm actually going to sit in a stand and see if we can't take out a deer with this, because 30 caliber ARs for hunting is obviously a big deal. Whether you're talking about deer or you're talking about hogs, it's something everybody's excited about. I think this is going to be a great solution for that. I also think this is a great solution for everybody who has an AR but wants a 30 caliber gun. Really, what it comes down to right now is reliability. So we're going to make sure it's reliable. We're going to shoot a whole bunch of rounds through it. We're going to shoot some of these old rusty rounds I found in this bag here, laying in my garage. They're steel case rounds. Who knows how long I've had them. We got rusty magazines to throw in here. I've got a scope I'm going to put on here for the hunting, so we're actually going to check accuracy as well. Probably use some of the better ammunition for that. The CMMG Mk47. This is our first impression. I'm kind of excited about it. Alright, so we've been running this AK AR hybrid, the Mk47 Mutant, for reliability tests, and I've been running through that kind of crappy rusty ammo. I've been running through some Tula steel case. I've been running through the Winchester Defender, kind of mixing and matching lots of different magazines. We've got the new PMag style. We've got some of the old metal mags. We did identify one old metal mag as a failure, so we had a little bit of a scare yesterday, thinking, wow, this gun's having problems. Turns out it really was isolated to this magazine, and this magazine has failed in other guns. So it's an old rusty kind of metal magazine. We're getting rid of that. The rest of the magazines we have, all the other ammo we have, we're probably 500-600 rounds in. The gun is run flawlessly outside of that magazine hiccup, and it's really doing well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch out this red dot. I'm going to put a magnified optic on it, and we're going to set a target up about 100 yards away. We're going to check out accuracy now. We know it's reliable. Let's see if we can hit deer, hit the defensive targets we'd be interested in out to 100 yards. Maybe in a patrol rifle environment that might be necessary, probably not in home defense, but certainly for those interested in hunting with this 30 caliber AR AK hybrid, we're going to want to see what we do at 100 yards. Okay, so I'm set up here. I've got the Winchester Defender round, 7.62 by 39. This is a 120 grain round. This is going to be a great home defense, patrol rifle, or a hunting round, certainly. And what we've done is we've got set up, and just in the interest of time here, we'll make sure we get one of those good rounds in the chamber. I'm going to go ahead. We're dual purposing this. We're actually taping for Personal Defense Network as well today on the Mk47, so you're going to get to see a lot more detailed information. PersonalDefenseNetwork.com at some point in the future. Right now, I'm going to take a knee here behind the table and actually try to put some rounds into the head and into the circles on our balance of speed and precision target. Go ahead and run this up to 4 power. switch into the chest. Throw some extra ones in offhand. All right, let's take a look. All right, so there we go. We've got a bunch of them in the head triangle. We've got a hit, although a close one on the 3. Got a hit in all the numbers, and then some of those were on that improvised rest, and some of those were offhand into the chest. So those were a whole bunch of shots that we got to fire with the Mk47 from 100 yards, and I'm very pleased. That is practical accuracy. We're good to go. Okay, so as usual, I'm running late for a flight and leaving the house down in St. Augustine, headed up to Jacksonville. Going to make a quick stop at ICE training headquarters. And I've spent the week, if you watched the video, you realize I spent several days working with the CMMG Mk47. Now, CMMG was the sponsor of the 2014 Personal Defense Network training tour. They were our rifle we took out on the road with us and had great results with it. So it's not surprising that the Mk47 is a really well-built, quality firearm. It's interesting that it's designed from the ground up to solve the AK round in an AR platform problem, right? We know there have been several conversion kits, there's piston kits out there, there's several guns that just are simply AR-15s chambered for 7.62 by 39, trying to use a straight-walled magazine or the AK style magazine, and all of them have been fraught with various different problems, which we talked about earlier in the video. They seem to have solved the problem. They seem to have cracked the code. I think it's very cool. Am I going to run out and replace all my ARs with Mk47s? Absolutely not. When it comes to the 223 round, I'm happy. I'm satisfied with it. As far as my security and safety, home defense, I'm perfectly happy with the 223 round, have been for a long time. Does the 7.62 by 39 round offer more power into the target? Absolutely. There's no doubt, right? It's a heavier bullet. It's going to carry more momentum. It's going to carry more energy. It's going to do more damage. I don't know that that matters. It's kind of like the difference between a 9mm and a 10mm. I'm perfectly happy with 9mm. I am aware that 10mm is more powerful. For hunting, obviously I would much rather have a 7.62 by 39, and there are plenty of rounds like this one that will do the job as far as hunting goes. It'll take out pigs, take out deer, take out everything that a 30-30 would. That's been a proven cartridge for medium, small, big game in the U.S. When I say obviously mammals, I'm not talking about hunting squirrels with them, but hunting deer on the East Coast or hunting mule deer out west, either way, 30-30 or the 7.62 by 39 are going to do the job, and that lets you hunt with an AR, which is kind of nice if you like the AR. Now, a lot of people this week have talked about the 300 Blackout. 300 Blackout is a 30 caliber round that's very reliable and works in the AR platform. A couple of problems with it. One, it might be a fad round. I don't know that in 3 years I'm going to be able to find this easily or cheaply, whereas 7.62 by 39 is an established round. It's not going away. In fact, it's here to stay, and even more so with quality ammunition, not just the steel case or surplus or military style ball ammunition. The other thing about the 300 Blackout, this is something I really don't like about the 300 Blackout, is that it will chamber, dangerously chamber, and cause problems inside of a gun that is actually made for 5.56 or 223. Honestly, I shake my head every time I think about that. I hate having these guns on the range when students show up with them, because it's one easy mistake. Same type of gun. They probably own guns in both calibers. They have magazines that will work with both calibers, and I think that's a problem with the 300 Blackout. So if you're going to be exclusive 300 Blackout, if you like the subsonic abilities that this thing has, awesome, good for you. If you're mixing 223 and 300 Blackout, I'm a little sketchy on that. So I do have one firearm in 300 Blackout. I use very specific magazines, different base plates on the magazines for that AR, and different color magazines are the only ones, and I don't use that color or those base plates on anything else right now in my inventory for that reason, and I don't know that I'll keep 300 Blackout even in my inventory. I'm not into a lot of suppressed stuff, so it's not that big a deal to me. So that's my take on the Mk47 and why I think the 7.62 by 39 is a great choice if you want a 30 caliber AR. The gun was reliable. We had one problem with one magazine, but we identified it as a magazine problem. We shot crappy rusty ammo, we shot steel case ammo, we shot high quality ammo. The accuracy test, practical accuracy, only shot it out to 100 yards, but I was hitting those 2.5, 3-inch size targets consistently. So there you have it. I like the CMMG Mk47. I think it really is a hybrid AR-AK designed from the ground up to solve some of the problems that the older 30 caliber AR systems have had with that caliber, and using the gun as a hunting gun, especially or a home defense gun, knowing that it's going to be loaded and then you're going to pick it up and operate it like an AR if you're an AR person, I think that's a perfect opportunity. Obviously, you're not going to be doing rapid reloads in a hunting situation. Incredibly unlikely that you're going to deplete an entire magazine in a home defense situation and need to reload or have a malfunction. So the operating idea, when you go to a training class or something like that, if you're used to using an AR, the AK is going to be a different thing, just like it would be if you switch to a regular AK. I think the 7.62x39 round is a proven round and a good choice if you want a 30 caliber round. So the Mk47 is going to be a viable option for you. If you're an AK person, you like the AK, this gun may not appeal to you, but because you're an AK person and you're invested in the ammunition and the magazines, if you wanted to make the jump over to an AR type platform for the modularity, for the comfort, for the ergonomics, for any other reason, well, then here's your solution, the CMMG Mk47. These are my first impressions. We'll see how the gun does.